Hi, I'm John Lewis, and this is André Pederneiras. Today on Tape 5, we'll be working on a lot of new techniques, vale-tudo and competition once again. Techniques taking people to the mat, the guard, passing the guard, mounting, the mounted position, and the back. We'll be doing tool sharpening with our students once again in the school. We'll work on some conditioning techniques to help you build your conditioning and your stamina. We'll take a trip over the Nick One Kicks gym again and work on some strategies for the day in the chess game series. As always, middleweight champion Igor Zinoviev will be here today with us, helping us out with some techniques. As you're getting ready and stretching out, check out my new music video.
Maybe 3 miles wide. I'm gonna lock love and deep inside. I find a little hole I can call my space. Gonna be a long time till I show my face. You see, it's been a long time, and I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm gonna drive real fast, maybe till I'm dead. Or I see the little bird spinning around my head. I'm just here to tell you, baby, everything is gonna be fine. Cool heart, bad attitude. Cool heart. Get a new job, maybe rule the world. Not gonna waste my time on those silly girls. Get out of my way, cause I kill that wheel. And I ain't gonna stop till I get my fill. It's been a long time since I delivered a blow penetrating the sky. They're not gonna take me down this time, baby. These are the things going through my mind. I'm just here to tell you, baby, everything is gonna be fine. Cool heart, bad attitude. Cool heart. Cool heart, bad attitude. Cool heart. Cool heart, bad attitude. Cool heart, mom. Cool heart, bad attitude. Cool heart. I'm just here to tell you, baby, everything is gonna be fine.
this first technique, I'm going to fake high with my hands first, so André thinks I'm coming high, and then I'm shooting low. My shoulder's hitting him below his kneecap. Okay? Then my hand's going to come around behind his heel, and I'm going to push with my shoulder and pull with my hands, create leverage, and take him down. Drive forward, just for control. Once again, I fake high, I shoot low. My shoulder hits him below his kneecap, my hand comes around his ankle, I drive with my shoulder, slide forward, keeping it tight. See that in slow motion. Hands go up, then I shoot low, just below his knee. My shoulder hits him right below the kneecap. This is what creates the leverage, it takes him backwards. My hand comes around his ankle. My head's nice and tight there, keeping it nice and stuck in that position. And I'm going to pull my hands, drive with my shoulders, taking him down. Then I slide up just to keep tight, keep close. And I can move on from here, maybe to a side control or something else. In defense of that technique, André steps back with his foot and pushes my head to the floor. Once again, as I shoot in, he steps back, I miss his leg, and he pushes my head to the floor. And from here you could strike or you can go behind or something. In slow motion, I shoot in, he just simply moves his leg back, taking a step backwards, pushes my head to the floor. In this technique, I throw a punch at André. He moves, passing my arm around and grabbing my wrist. His right hand comes inside my leg. He pivots his body and reverses the position to the mount. Once again, I punch. He moves his head, passes my arm around. Controls my wrist. His right hand goes in the hole, and he mounts. Slow motion, let's see that. Once again, I throw the punch. André moves his head, parrying the blow, passing my arm around and grabbing my wrist with his hand, keeping it there nice and tight. His right hand goes in my leg, pivoting his body, his foot hits the floor, and his right leg helps dump me over, and he mounts. This time, watch how André defends that same technique. As I pass the arm around his head, control his wrist, reach my hand in his leg, turn my body, his right foot comes up, and his left hand comes in over his head, lifting my elbow to free his head. Once again, I'm passing his arm around, controlling it, reaching in his leg, getting ready to do the sweep. His right foot comes up for base, his hand comes in over his head, lifting my elbow, and his head pops out. He punches. I pass his arm around, controlling his wrist. My right hand comes in between his legs. As I start pivoting, his right foot comes up. Hand comes in over his head. Watch it lift my elbow, and now his head pops out. And we're back where we started. In this situation, you never want to bend over, try to grab his feet. What you want to do is come in with your hips forward, your knee in there, to block the kicks, then grab his feet. I move away, and I throw his legs to one side, knee on the belly, and strike. Once again, you reach for his feet, you kick in the face. So what you do is you come in hip first, turn my body away a little bit, just to jam up his kicks, grab his feet then, throw his legs around to the side, knee on the belly, and strike. See that in slow motion. As I reach for his feet and bend over, he catches me in the face. So what I want to do is come in first with my hips first. Lead with my leg and my hips. Jam his kicks up, grab his ankles. Now I'm going to back away and throw his legs, knee in the belly, and I can strike. Okay, we reverse roles here for a second. André steps in, throws my feet, and I go with momentum. I hook his leg, and I come around for a knee lock. So I'm coming around, my leg stepping around his body, hooking his body, and for the knee lock. Okay, so once again, he steps in. Then he controls my ankles, he throws them. I come in with momentum, and I pivot my body around onto my shoulder to catch his leg. He throws it, I come inside. Then my hips should go all the way in, knees tight, hips forward, and there's the knee lock. See that again. André steps in, grabs my ankles, throws them. I go with momentum. I pivot my body around. My right leg comes around, like so. And then I drive my hip forward, squeeze tightly for that knee lock. So as he steps in, he throws my leg, my hand comes inside the hole, pivoting my body around. Then I drive my hips forward, squeezing my legs, and I apply the knee lock. Try slow motion. Throws my feet, and I go with momentum. I hook his leg, and I come around for a knee lock. So I'm coming around, my leg stepping around his body, hooking his body, and for the knee lock. Okay, so he grabs my ankles, throws my ankles around, my arm comes inside the hole, my feet hook around his body, my knees need to come inside, tight, squeezing my thighs together, apply my hips against his knee for the knee lock. Okay, in this technique, my right hand goes on his hip, blocking his legs. My knee slides across his belly, and I clean his arm, lifting his arm out of the way, driving my hips forward, and putting hooks in, and I'm mounted. Once again, my hand goes on his hip, my knee comes in, okay? I lift his arm out of the way, pushing my hips forward, feet go in the hole, cross my feet, and I mount. In slow motion. My hand comes across his legs, my hand on his hip, my forearm on his hip. I'm just trying to block his leg. My knee comes across the belly. Now there's a little detail here that you got to see. It's hard to see on film. When I mount, I push my hips forward, drive my hips forward, push down with my thighs so he can't lift his leg. And then I hook it in. Let's see it in real time. As I do the same technique from another angle, watch how André counters it. Okay, my hand comes across the stomach, my knee slides up there. As I mount, he works on my other leg, bringing his leg out and around my leg, hooking it, raising his arm in the air, hipping out, and he comes behind me, takes my back. Once again, I bring my knee across his belly. Instead of trying to defend that leg, he works on the other leg. He puts his elbow down, slides his leg out, hooks it around my leg, lifts his arm, and takes my back. So as I set up for the mount, my shoulder across his face, keep my position down nice and tight. I change my arm. My right leg comes across his body. And instead of stopping my right knee, he wants to do something different. So watch his right leg and his right hand. He pushes my leg downwards, brings his leg out and around mine, trapping it in there. At this point, he raises his right arm real hard and hips out at the same time. Starts moving towards my back. His right leg is still hooked. Okay, he takes his arm out, comes up behind me, he gets control. Here's a good striking position. He's mounted, he's throwing some punches, then he comes behind my head and in front of my arm, straightening his arm out to the floor. This kind of turns me a little bit. See, he adjusts his mount, and he strikes. Once again, he's punching. My arms are up, I'm defending myself. Then he comes behind my head, in front of my arm, straightens his arm out, puts pressure on the back of my neck, adjusts his mount and strikes. Try that in slow motion. As he strikes, my hands are up, I'm defending myself. Comes behind my head, pushes my arm up, comes behind in front of my arm, straightens his arm out. This puts pressure on the back of my neck, kind of like a stocks, and it wants to turn me. So he adjusts his body, his right leg comes up, he's on his foot, his knees real high behind my head, and I'm kind of stuck here in a bad position. The only way to go would be to turn further, which would give him my back totally. In this mount escape, André bridges, my hands hit the floor, his head comes outside of my arm, controls my head and arm, and bridges. And he's in my guard, once again. I punch, he bridges, reaches around my head, his head comes outside of my arm, grabs his own bicep and my head, keeping my arm stuck, traps my foot, and bridges very hard to be in my guard. In slow motion, as I go for the strike, he bridges, so I have to stop striking and base. He reaches around my head, his head comes out of the hole, and he traps my arm in there. Grabs his bicep, keeping my arm stuck. Now watch his left leg trap my foot. Now with his right, he pushes off the floor and bridges and turns me. And now he's in my guard. Okay, this is a little segment on cranks and crushes, meaning controls of the face that aren't necessarily like arteries or neck, like bone structures, nose, and so on, okay? A lot of times when you're behind somebody, you can use a lot of effective techniques besides just chokes to get your wanted result. For instance, on the chin, this part right here fits right in there. And as you keep it against my body with my head pinned tightly, and I pull forward, pressure against the back here, it'll crack the jaw. Okay? We have it against the nose here. The bridge of the nose. We'll break the nose. The grip I'm using, crossing over, or we can use a 3-finger grip that LaBelle came up with, like so. My elbow's in, my head's tight. Squeeze to my body. Okay. Or you can take this bone, stick it in an eye socket here, like so on. Keep it close to yourself. It's against the eye. Okay, so there's a lot of times you can do things like this. For instance, another one, turn the face, across face. Same position here, and just bring my wrist in. cranking on the neck, okay? So it's not always just a choke, okay? One more time. This one here, turn the face with your hand. Okay, let's see for another angle. So I flatten them out, pancake them, like before. Okay, he's defending his neck, so I can't get to the choke. But watch this. Right in front of the face. Okay. Okay, turning the head deeply, squeezing it, turning it. Sometimes in this situation, from the back. Okay, so these are very effective techniques. Keep them in mind. So I'm behind André here and I'm going for the choke. He defends one side, so I go to the other side. He lays to his side, pushes my foot down and sits on it, swims his arm inside my arm, controls my leg, and comes up to the top, and now he's in my guard. Once again, he leaves one side open, so I go for it. So I do. He lays to that side, takes my foot off and sits on it, okay? Starts moving his hip out, see him swim inside my arm, and he comes up, and he's on top. Okay, here, as I reach inside, he defends it. He leaves one side open, so I go for it. Now notice this, he falls to the other side. He'll use his right hand to take my foot off a little bit to help him out. Pushes it to the floor, and he sits on it. Okay, and he starts hipping out over it. Now his right hand comes under my arm. He controls my leg, and keeps hipping out, and comes to the top position. And now he's passing my guard. Okay, it's time for tool sharpening again. What we're going to do now is work on a drill called swimming. This helps you learn to get inside, keep your arms on the inside all the time when you're in the clinch. Okay, it's real simple, but here's how it goes. First of all, he's going to put his hands around my waist, okay? I'm going to take my hand, swim to the inside, and I'm going to touch him with my shoulder. As I'm swimming to the inside on this side, he's swimming to the inside with his other hand. So we're constantly taking turns. Now I'm here. Now I need to swim to the other side. My right hand goes inside, and his left hand goes inside. I'm hitting with my shoulder. Again. This should be done kind of like a dance, like you're working together on this. Helps you learn to flow, and keeps you always thinking about getting in the inside. Okay? As you pick up the impact, a little harder, you'll see how hard it gets. And it also helps you take a shot a little bit on your body. Okay. Now also, at the same time we're doing this, he's leaning into me a little bit. He's pushing against me, and I'm pushing against him. If I'm too loose, he'll start driving me backwards. And if he's too loose, I'll start driving him backwards. He pushes me. And so on. Okay guys, try it. Okay, this is a fun drill. This drill helps develop tackling in a realistic situation when somebody's trying to hit you. So one guy's going to throw punches at the other guy. He's going to just throw open hands, kind of slaps to the head, and so on. The other guy is going to just try to tackle. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I don't put him down so hard because he's not punching me so hard. Maybe I just want to clinch even. Okay, the point is I'm getting inside, trying not to get hit as much as I can. Okay, so we'll stay in this little area here and we'll try it. Okay? If you want to get more advanced with it, you put on a pair of gloves, have the guy ready to try to hit you, and you tackle him. Let's try it. In this drill, pick a technique or two that you like. And basically, André just steps in, half executing the throw. Just getting the footwork nice and tight. He does it maybe 10 times. Then on the final one, you see him do a throw. Like so.
Gracie in the maroon trunks and Lewis in the black. And this should be interesting to see how guys at the same weight will perform.
These guys can go.
And the leg kicks are underway.
This is going to go to the ground very, very quickly. Both these guys are very confident on the ground. See John Lewis sidestep there. That was very sweet.
They want to make sure that they can get the right situation on the ground, do it on their terms. And
there's the tackle. John Lewis got up again. That's probably the first time that's happened. And he rolled him, almost.
Lewis able to neutralize after he was
Lewis
tackled.
Got an extremely good guard. Look at this. And a nice little shot to the face.
And we're seeing some of the quickness you expect from the lighter weights now.
Look at Lewis pound to the head from the guard.
Earlier we saw Tom Glanville try to win from the guard. He could not.
This is a whole different animal.
Better situation here, a much better guard. He's got the control.
Yeah, he's got the control, but, you know, Carlson Gracie, you know, is calming down now. You can see it. Oh, very dangerous to punch the head with an open hand, fist like that. Lewis trying to keep the guard, keep him away from him. See that?
And he got slapped.
Big right hand. Oh, but he tried to get the mount. Lewis gets away again. Lewis goes down.
We're seeing
this is an amazing fight.
We're seeing our best technical execution of the entire night.
Gracie's on the back where they want to be, and John Lewis just playing the game.
And taunting him.
Look at this. Yes, he is. He's being dominant. Now, don't forget, Carlson's in a dominant position. You know? Carlson looks calm.
Lewis trying to work on his head. 2 minutes and 28 seconds is our
Whoa, nice move around the outside for John Lewis. Let's see what's going to happen here. He's trying to get a knee lock on him. John Lewis is very strong for his size. Pretty amazing counter. John going up and around. See the legs always between them. That's the use of the guard. Carlson knows what he's doing. Big right hand lands from the outside.
And Lewis trying to take away that guard position of Gracie by landing from the outside and showing total respect there. He's up. He does not want to have...
John with a big stop to the face. Oh, almost got mounted, though. You got to be very careful now. He's getting suckered into the game.
Yes. So is Gracie getting Lewis into his game?
Yes,
here?
Absolutely. He's got ready for a double. It's not that John doesn't know what he's doing, though. You know, a couple of little elbows. Those are just taps. He doesn't care. Father's talking to him. You see that?
We have our longest
trying to turn his head
of the night, as these guys have done a lot here.
Oh, he almost went behind him. And be very careful you don't go behind him. See him hold the fence?
And we're seeing strategies and counter strategies here. We're seeing strategies that have been broken.
This is such a great fight. I'm stepping on your words.
We're seeing people that have had to regroup and try different plans of attack, and they know what to do.
Now you see them calming down. They're both regrouping. John Lewis complaining about his mouthpiece. He wanted to throw it away. Oh, you see Carlson trying to go behind John Lewis there.
He tried hard to do that. Lewis did not let it happen. Knew
exactly
it was
very close.
What was going on.
It was very close.
But Gracie will try this again and again, and the thought being that one of these times it will work.
It's our longest fight so far.
Yeah, by a minute.
This is a technical fight.
And this is what happens with guys at the same weight, same quickness, identical skills, and both extremely skilled in the moves and counter moves of this profession.
Nice try for the headbutt. John Lewis with two little uppercuts, just trying to stop him from going behind. This is a very technical fight. Wonder when Carlson will make his next move to get behind him.
Is there enough room for him here to do something with Lewis trapped?
He's trying to go under the leg. You see the left leg of Lewis stopping him from rotating around to his right. But that's all he has to beat is that right leg. Lewis is an incredibly strong person. Allowed to do that. Absolutely allowed to do that.
We haven't seen it as a strategy up till now, but there's a guy that knows everything and how to do it here.
Look at the muscularity on Mr. Lewis.
Now, is Gracie centering his weight properly here?
Yes, very properly. John Lewis is going to get tired doing that. No, there's no problems here, but we have to see the way Carlson, you know, is trying to dig a little hole behind. You're looking at the greatest Brazilian here. John Lewis is doing an amazing job. He's proving himself already.
Well, he's been able to neutralize certain moves by the Gracie up to the 6-minute mark of this contest here.
Oh, big headbutt, and he's just so aware. Did you see that?
Yes.
Shifts over, doesn't let the head hit him.
Halfway through the scheduled bout, we've reached the milestone as the fighters are trying to get it together here.
Carlson Gracie trying to get the back. He is up against a bench. Oh, great move! Tries to make a takedown. Carlson failed on that move.
Somebody had to gamble.
John has to watch his arms now. Carlson is trying to get away. He's trying to break his leg.
Is there enough time still?
Oh, beautiful counter. John Lewis.
But Lewis pulling Gracie
Trying to break
closer
the
here.
knee. He's going to throw a left hand, I think.
Some of the most
Pulls out. Oh,
we have
ankle's
seen.
in jeopardy. Ankle's in jeopardy. He pushes it down. His ankle, his knee is in jeopardy too.
Oh, he missed.
John Lewis with a tactical move off the fence.
He
We
missed
haven't
with
seen
the
that in
ankle.
extreme fighting.
So they go out of here with 4:35 left in overtime. And we believe that first session was about 14 seconds shy of 15 minutes according to the clock, but still quite a bit of action with these two guys. And now right in front of us, they do the same thing that was going on earlier.
Such an amazing stalemate, but the Brazilians seem to be just screaming and imploring him to go behind, I think. They're trying to get him to turn.
It is a little surprising to see fighters.
John Lewis isn't holding the ring anymore. It could be a move for Carlson Gracie.
And you know he'll pick up on that immediately. But with no points and no way to be awarded a victory unless it's the usual route. Gracie is running out of time and is staring at a draw.
And that's it. History has been made.
Wow.
Carlson Gracie team has stopped. We have a draw.
You have been in this business for a long time. You followed the Gracie family.
I have
How
never.
monstrous is this?
Oh, this is cataclysmic. I mean, the Gracies just can't believe it. These guys represent themselves. These guys represent themselves, you know, in a way that is just amazing.
In his throw, André controls my elbow, and he steps in, catching my arm tightly. Not around his neck, so I choke him. But he steps in with his right foot, catching it on his bicep, keeping my sleeve real tight. His second foot comes in, bending his knees, lifting his hips, and he throws me. Once again, controls my elbow, steps in with his right foot, his arm comes under mine. Not too deep. So he steps in, catches it on the bicep, keeping his sleeve tight. Second foot steps in, bending his knees, lifts me and throws. Let's try that in slow motion. So as he steps in, his arm comes under my arm, catching on his bicep. If you pull it around your neck, you set in a gap to get behind you and choke you. So you have to keep control of it. As he steps in, he catches it on his bicep, keeping his sleeve real tight, right where he wants it. His second foot comes in, and he bends his knees to get up under me. Then he lifts me up and throws. In defense, as André steps in, I drop my base and put my hips forward so it's hard for him to throw me. Then I hook my opposite leg around his leg, and as he throws, we both fall. I go behind him, put my second hook in, I reach under his arm with my next free arm, grabbing his opposite lapel and pushing away and choking. Once again, I'm pushing away with 2 arms and choking with the gi. So as it goes for the technique, I drop my base, bending my knees, putting my hip forward, hooking my opposite leg. We throw, we roll. I put my second hook in. Now my other free arm comes around under his arm, not over, but under, grabbing his opposite lapel and choking. Once again, as he goes in, I drop my knees and my base, putting my hip forward. At this time, my left leg hooks. My right arm is holding and my left leg hooks. So he goes to throw, we roll. My second hook comes in as soon as possible. And notice my right arm is over his shoulder, around his neck. My left arm comes under his arm and across his body to his opposite lapel. I'm pushing away with both arms and choking. Pushing away with both arms. And applying the gi choke. This is a great technique. I reach across arms, so my right arm is holding his right arm. My left arm grabs his foot, and I'm going to take my left foot and I'm going to put my hook in around and inside his leg, controlling it real tight. At this point, I take my right foot and I push his knee away to make space for me to shoot my left leg all the way through. Okay, this way he can't turn back towards me again. Now my right foot is free, so I put it inside behind his leg, and I maneuver my way around behind him, grabbing both ankles with both hands, and I push with my shins and pull with my hands at the same time, following him up and taking it back. So once again, I reach across, grab his arm, my left hand grabs his ankle, and my left foot goes behind and hooks inside his leg, controlling his leg. At this point, my right foot is free. I push on his leg, making space, shooting my left leg all the way through. My right foot comes behind his leg in the space there, and I start maneuvering myself around behind him, grab both ankles, push with my shins, pull with my hands, take him down, push off the ground to get up, and take his back. In slow motion, my right hand grabs his right hand, controlling his sleeve real nice and tight. My left hand grabs his ankle, and my left foot goes around his leg and on the inside hooks. If you notice, my foot is like in a flexed position, hooking his leg tightly. Now my right foot, I'm going to push off his knee with, and this is going to make space for my left leg to shoot through. So I push off, he steps back. Now I shoot this left leg all the way through. I want to get it all the way deep and straight if I can. Now he won't be able to turn back towards me again. At this point, my right leg is free, and I hook it behind his leg, and I got to kind of hop my body around a little bit as he gets turned to get behind him. I grab both ankles, then I'm going to push with my shins, I'm going to pull with my hands at the same time. As he falls forward, I'll just go with momentum and I'll push off the ground with my hands, and I'll take his back. If he makes any move or any space, my hooks will go in immediately. As André attempts the technique I just showed you, watch my counter. As I go to my knees, my right hand goes between my legs, and I go under him as well, and I end up behind him. Once again, I fall forward. Right away, I start rolling between my legs. As he steps for the hooks, I end up behind him. He gets ready to complete the technique. Grabbing my ankles with his hands, pushing forward with his shins. As I fall, I know he's going to come behind me and put the hooks in. This technique works when the guy tries to step deep on you like this. I go under him and behind, coming up, and taking his back. Okay, let's pass the guard here. I grab both lapels. I push him down under his armpits real tight, and my elbows are tight as well. I step up with one foot. My other foot comes just between his butt, and as I sit down, my knee pries him open. Then my knee comes across his body, my hand is under his arm, and I'm going to control his elbow and drive my hips to the floor and bring my other leg out. And then I control the side. Once again, I'm controlling his arms tightly. My elbows are tight as well. I step back with one foot. My other foot comes just between his butt. As I sit back, my knee pries him open, comes across his body, under his arm, control his arm, and drive my hips forward, like so. Step through with my other foot, reach over and control. So I control his arms, my elbows are tight. I step up with my foot. I'm not stepping towards him, I'm stepping away from him. Okay? My second foot comes up straight and right down the crack. As I sit down, my knees is straight up and down, 90-degree angles, not leaning too much forward. I don't have any power or any control. Straight up and down. I reach under his arm, my knee comes down. I have to control his arm. I push my hip forward to bring my second foot through and take position. In defense, so I go for the position. I leave a little hole there, so André reaches in with his arm, grabs my elbow with two hands, moves his hip out, and puts his left foot on my hip. His knee tightly to the floor, puts pressure on my elbow, and I'm submitting. Once again, your elbow should be tight here, and here's why. He reaches inside the hole, grabs both elbows, pulls the foot up on his shoulder as he hips out, puts his foot on my hip, and his knee applies pressure to my elbow, like so. Once again, I leave space, and he sees it. His left arm reaches inside the hole, grabbing my elbow with both hands. And as he hips out, brings it up on his shoulder. He puts his left foot on my hip. And as his knee comes down, the pressure is applied to the elbow. So the knee is a lot of the pressure. In this technique, I'm trying to outwit André to get a mount. If you notice, his leg is up, defending my knee from coming through for the mount easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull his foot upwards towards me. And as I pull, he pushes away, and then I let go of it, and it shoots down. So I'm counting on the fact that he's going to try to counter what I'm doing. I'm pulling on his foot, and he pushes away, and I mount. I clean his arm, cross my feet, hips in, and so on. So once again, I control here. I'm reaching control with some kimono, my shoulders on his face, nice and tight. So his leg's in my way. Okay, so what I do is I grab his foot and I pull it up. So he wants to fight downwards with it. As he fights down, boom, is when I mount. So I pull it, he puts it down, and I step over. I thread my foot in, cross my feet, hips forward, and maintain control. So in slow motion, I'm getting material here. My right shoulder is pushing against his face pretty hard, keeping him in that direction. His knee is up defending me, so I grab his foot, I pull. Notice my elbow kind of puts pressure against his knee a little bit as I do it. You'll notice, right here. Okay, that kind of makes it uncomfortable for him against his foot, against his knee. He pushes away with his foot, and it shoots down like a slingshot. So I grab his foot, I pull up on it, put my elbow into it. As it shoots down, boom, I'm out. At this point, I thread my foot all the way through, crossing my ankles, keeping his arm out of the way, and I maintain control. From this position here, in judo called kasakatame, André went to escape. Some guys can hold this position real good. André grabs my belt with two hands, and he bridges really hard over his head, so I have to put my hand there to stop myself from rolling. See his knee come underneath? He lifts me with his knee and goes over his shoulder after that. Once again, I'm holding him in this position here. It's kind of a head and arm position, nice and tight. His right hand grabs my belt, his left hand grabs my belt, and he bridges straight over his head just to make me go forward. Now his knee comes underneath and he rolls me over like so. This is a hard position to get out of sometimes if somebody knows how to hold it really well. When he controls my belt, he's going to have something to pull on, a little leverage to lift with. And then he's going to bridge over his head. And as he bridges over his head, my base goes forward and I get a lot lighter, and then he rolls over. So as he bridges, I go forward. He keeps the pressure, his knee comes in, and he lifts with his knee and rolls over that shoulder. And he got me inside control. Let's talk about mount strategy for a second, okay? Whenever I'm mounted on someone, I prefer to be in one of two positions. One is down in a controlled position, where my hips are thrusting in, I'm feeling strong down here, where I'm kind of maintaining my position. I could use my feet like this in the grapevines, or I could cross them here at the bottom, and I still can do my attacks from here. The other would be way up on him, under his elbows, high if I could be. Okay, he sets him up for arm locks and other positions as well, and chokes as well. The important thing, why I like the difference of these two situations, is if you sit down over the pelvis area and hang out down here, when he bridges, he has a lot of control of my body weight, because I'm sitting right over his highest point of bridge. When I scoot up under his armpits and he bridges, all of a sudden he's not affecting me whatsoever, and he's also giving me a lot of techniques to take submission-wise. Okay, when I'm down here low, if he bridges, I can thrust my hips in, and I can still maintain my position well. Okay, so this is kind of transitional on my way to somewhere. I don't like to hang out down here too much. Okay, another thing to think about is don't be stuck on one position or one technique of submission. You always want to be giving the guy one thing, so he defends it, so you go for another thing. Okay, you always want to be step 2, 3, 4 steps ahead all the time. Okay, you want to try to work on that. For instance, if I'm going for a choke, I really want the arm lock, okay? So he starts defending his choke, but what I do is I set up for the arm, and then I can start working into my position for the arm lock, okay? There's a lot of different techniques you can think like that with your own imagination. But basically, if I go for his arm right away, he's going to defend his arm, and I'm not going to get it very easily. If I go for the choke right away, he's going to defend it, and maybe use it for a roll or something like this. But if I want the arm, and I go for a choke, he's defending the choke like you would think he would, and you take the arm, okay? Another important thing to think about is always being fluent and always being flexible to what he does. As he moves and adjusts his body, I have to adjust my mount as well, accordingly. Okay, if I'm stuck to one specific mount and it doesn't work for the situation he's given me, I might lose the mount. Okay. For instance, say he's trying to move to one side, I can change a little bit, put my foot here on his leg, keep his leg from coming in. If he still starts getting dangerous coming through, I might have to move my mount 100% sideways like this. And now I'm in a side mount, okay? Now I'm trying to keep him from rolling forward or back. I'm always moving with him. If he starts coming back, maybe if I could either try to keep him, I could stay again. If I feel myself losing position, totally losing, like he's bridging me and I'm falling off, I might just connect down here again. Hold my hips in here, hold them tight. Get my base back, get them relaxed again, feel my chance again, I come back up again. So I'm working my way back up, back to work again, okay? Another important thing to understand is the most important thing is position, not the submission, okay? If you can dominate position, you can dominate the fight. If you're stuck on the submission, no matter what happens, you might lose the position quite as well, okay? If you're going for a choke, for instance, and he wants to roll me, and he rolls me, I'm still trying to do this choke here, and now look, I lost my position, and maybe he escapes the choke, I'm in trouble. So, in this situation, if I feel that the choke is not applied tight enough that I'm going to be able to keep it once I'm rolled, what I'll do, he starts to roll, I'll base. Because it's more important that I keep him here than I just try to get something halfway and I get rolled and lose position. Then I got to start all over again. So these are some things you should think about, mount strategy. Let's call this perfect mount defense, okay? And what I mean is what you should be thinking about when you're mounted. First of all, you never want to be like this, where the guy is high up on your arms and your arms are dangling around in the air for him to take submissions from you, okay? You always want to scoot yourself up, keep your point of your elbows down here at the ends of his knees, okay? Keep your arms in tight to yourself for a lot of reasons, but here's one main reason is, like I said earlier, it puts me right over his pelvis area so that when he bridges, he has a lot of control over my body, okay? So he knows this, so he's trying to make sure I'm there. A lot of times when I'm doing attacks, if he can just keep bridging alone, he can keep me from the submission and keep me trying to defend my position, okay? Another thing is, anytime I'm doing something that seems of danger to him, maybe I'm going to go for a choke, and he feels danger, he bridges, he moves his hips, even if he's not going to escape, because he knows that what I have to do, if I'm doing my job correctly, is keep my position, all right? Not just the submission, I need to keep my position. Okay, so if I don't let go of the choke or whatever I'm trying to attempt, and he starts escaping, then I may lose my position. If I have to let go of the choke to get my position back, okay, I got my position back, but he escaped the technique. Okay, so it's like a good strategy game going on there, okay? He's trying to set me up. At the same time, he's also making sure his arms are always really tight. He's never dangling around high, you know. It's always going to be difficult for me to get anything in this position. He's keeping his neck in, his shoulders up. He's bridging, he's moving side to side. This way, it's not easy for me to think, okay? Like I said, once I start gaining something that seems dangerous to him, he's going to bridge, he's going to move, and I'm going to have to adjust my position again. Okay, just think about that for a while. So he's behind me, he wants to get a choke, but he can't. So he goes through my arm and around his leg, and then grabs my lapel on a cross side. Now my arm's stuck, and he grabs my lapel with his other arm, his left hand. His foot comes over my shoulder, and he chokes. So once again, he can't get under my chin, so he goes through the hole and under his leg. Just gets my arm out of the way. He passes that lapel, and then he grabs the lapel with his other hand for the choke. His foot comes over the shoulder for pressure, and he pulls that lapel. Can't get in. Reaches through the hole, and behind and under his leg, moving my arm out of the way. His second hand helps pass that lapel over a little bit, and he gets a grip on it. Then he takes his left hand and he grabs my opposite lapel. Now the choke is already here, but he puts the foot over the shoulder just to seal it. And I tap. As we reverse rolls again, I'm going to try the lapel choke on André. And he grabs my shoulder with his hand, his right hand, lifting his right leg and bringing his other leg through. Turns to his knees, pulls his arm out of the hole, and now he's in my guard. Once again, I go over and under my leg, I pass the lapel. He controls my shoulder, which is going to help him turn my body. As he lifts his right leg, puts his other leg through the hole, turns to his knees, pulls his arm out. See it in slow motion. Over and under, grabbing the lapel, controls my shoulder, helps turn with it, lifts his right leg, and pulls his right arm as he brings his other leg through the hole, turns to his knees, uses his left hand for leverage, pulling his right arm out free. And there he's in my guard. Okay, today's tool sharpening. We're going to work on standing up in the guard today. This drill helps develop that. Okay, what it basically is a drill to help you strengthen your legs for standing in the guard. Steve will put his hands behind his head, and he'll stand up with his either leg first, but we'll start off with his left leg first, and then his right leg, and I'll come back down with his left foot again, and right. Okay, and you continue this position 20 times. Okay, for instance, Steve will do 6. That was 6. By the time you get to 10, up to 20, your legs are really going to get a good burn going. Another important thing here that's happening is André is learning to hold his feet tighter and develop strength in his feet. The person who's getting it done to them, if they're pretty new at the system, you're probably going to find that they can't hold their feet very well. But this develops that as well. Okay, let's do it. Okay, this is a drill, kind of like the other one where you're lifting the guy up with your feet. But I'm starting from inside today, a butterfly guard, okay? This takes a little more leg control. Maybe after you do the other one for a while, you'll develop this power in your legs. What I'm going to do is have 2 feet inside, control the sleeves again. I'm going to use a principle again we taught earlier, which is using this momentum to help me get my advantage or my result. I grab here, I sit up. As I come back, I'm going to lift my legs from my feet, try to throw them up in the air and catch them with my feet. Let's see if we can do it. Okay? And again. Again. Try to get a little more smooth now. Okay, 10 times that'll do it. Try it, guys. I'm here with Igor Zinoviev. He's going to help me out and help you guys out. He's going to show you a little armbar variation.
Whole time got the same position for the wrestling guys. You got one leg, you got sometimes missing. Make sure you got that arm under your arm, more close on the wrist. Bend him for the hip. That's like a make hook and sit him in the stomach. That's a like arm out. There's control for the not turn off you. Slippery. That's arm lock. Hold this position. Put arms all more deeper in your body. Take it again. Close it. Now sometimes you guys check off your legs over here. You almost escaped. Make sure that's legs you got some hook. Hold him. Bend him body. More close it. Sit in the stomach. That's arms. Make control. He's not sit up. Just legs. You're bleeding.
Okay, here's something for you to think about. A lot of times you're having a hard time passing the guard or getting around somebody or just in a situation that you're having a hard time getting out of, not necessarily the guard. You should think about striking other objects that aren't what people are used to getting hit in, you know? And what I mean by that is you don't always got to punch somebody in the face or punch somebody in the stomach or the ribs, for instance, to do damage. Sometimes it's not always about knocking them out. Sometimes it's about getting to a better position, okay? So in this situation right here, you know, I'm stuck here and I can't pass his guard very easily. You know, there's a lot of little targets here that can just make him irritated enough to move to another situation. You can hit him in the legs, striking the legs from here. A lot of positions like this, okay? From your elbows from here. Sometimes your feet are closed. Elbows from here, you know? Sometimes you want to open the guard, so I want this guard open, so I will. I'll hit him in the face. He'll think of his face. He'll want to make distance, so he'll open his legs just to make distance, which is all I really wanted in the first place, okay? Sometimes the guy in the bottom can do some things, you know, like, for instance, maybe he can't hit me with his hands. Maybe I'm controlling his hands, but his feet are free. He can work on my kidneys. He can work on my butt muscle, that's what hurts very much, on my thighs, on the calf. You know, all this stuff hurts. And what it'll do is it won't knock me out, but it can make me move to another situation, you know. Maybe he just wants me to back out of here. Maybe I'm on him too much, I'm here so much, so he starts hitting on me, and I start moving away because I don't like it. Okay, I gave him the space that he really wanted in the first place. Now he can try to get up or he can go to his technique that he's trying to do. So think about that. Think about when you're fighting or you're in a situation of training even, think about what could you do that could open somebody up. It's not necessarily the exact thing you're going for. You know, you're faking for one thing but really wanting another thing. Okay, so when you're training, think about that. It doesn't always got to be the face. It doesn't always got to be the target that you're trying to achieve in the first place that you strike first. Maybe you want to just attack one technique to throw them off so you can really go for the one that you really want, okay? So remember those techniques, remember different ones, think of your own, but the concept is you try one thing to really get another thing, okay? Don't always go for the exact thing that you're working on. Okay, so in conclusion, what I think is when you're training or when you're working out, you want to think about this all the time, okay? Think about these techniques, try these ones, try some more, make some up. The concept is the important thing. The concept is don't always go for the first thing that you're really trying to achieve at first. You want to maybe attack one thing to open them up to get to another thing, okay? Always try to throw them off by going for something different first. Okay, it's going to make more openings for you, and it's going to help you get out of things that are bad situations in the future.
Pô, eu luto.
Vamos passar, vamos passar! Vamos passar, Charu! Raspa! Vamos, Jeep! Bora, Gordinho! Bora, Gordinho! Isso! Batalhão! Basta, Charuto! Basta, Charuto! Basta, Charuto! Basta! Basta, Gordinho! Basta, moleque! Basta, Charuto! Passa bem agora. Bora, Gordinho! Aí, menina! Ô, Jitsu! Vamos aí, vamos passar! Puxa tu, Charuto! Puxa você, Charuto! Vem a guarda, Gordinho! Vamos passar! Gira por dentro, Gordinho! Passa a bola logo aí! Põe a mão na frente da cabeça aí! Vamos, Gordinho! 3 minutos, Charuto! Passa a cabeça! Bora, bota a mão na cara dele aí, Gordinho! Aí, Gordinho! Essa mesmo, vai, Gordinho! Vai, vai, vai! Bora, Charles, continua aí, mano! Tira a mão da frente da cara, Gordinho! 5 minutos aí, Charles! Vai, faz o quadril agora! Esgrima! Não deixa ele te virar não, Gordinho! Amaury! Tira a mão da frente da cara, Gordinho! Vem agora, Gordinho! Olha, Gordinho! Vamos passar isso aí, Gordinho! Raça, Gordinho! Sarmento, Gordinho!
I think that it's all based on what the student wants to gain out of their training. You might have one student that just wants to come just to get a good workout, the same as going to the gym or something like that. Or you'll have another student who wants to compete in jiu-jitsu itself, the tournament version of it. And then you're going to have other people who want to actually fight in no-rules type competitions. So what I think is, if the student has to ask himself what is it that he wants to gain out of it, first of all, what's he looking for? If he is just looking for a workout, then jiu-jitsu in itself is probably the best workout you can possibly do, because you're going to be really training, you're really going to be wrestling full out, you're going to get a great sweat, great workout. There's nice warm-ups before the classes in a lot of the schools. So in that way, you're going to definitely fulfill that goal with just staying with the jiu-jitsu alone. Now say you want to take it to the no-rules type fighting situation for a more competitive person. In that situation, maybe you're going to want to check out some boxing or some other skills or some tackles or things of that nature that can help you make your game more full in that situation. But really the bottom line is the student has to ask himself what is it that he wants to do in the long run before he even figures out what other systems he needs to do. Overall, I think the most important foundation is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's where everything should start from, and from there, when they feel they've achieved a certain point of that, if they want to go on the fight no rule situations, then they look for something new. But at first, the focus should be the Jiu-Jitsu in the ground. Our school basically promotes defense, taking care of yourself in a dangerous situation. There are the guys that want to learn to fight in tournaments or to fight in competitions, no rules kind of competitions. That's all great because they're working for that. I don't teach, little hardcore kids that want to go out and be better street fighters, really. That's not what our goal is. If I get that, like I say, if I sense that attitude in the first place, I probably will shy away from the student. So what we want to do is just teach the students to be able to defend themselves in a realistic situation, and feel confident. By training so hard in the class with such good guys, that happens automatically. You're going to become confident. Usually when you get confident, that's when people don't really look for street fights. It's not so much that you say, now I'm a martial artist in any art. It's not so much that you say, now I'm a black belt, or so I won't fight anymore. It's that you actually, over time, and not so long in jiu-jitsu because you can learn quicker, you actually, over time, feel like it's a waste of your time because you know how much better you are because you do it in class all the time. You beat guys in class who know the same techniques as you, and still you beat them. How is this guy in the street going to beat me? He doesn't even know what I'm doing, And then you get to the point where, like, I don't feel like getting dirty right now, and you just don't worry about it. It's more that than it is you're, oh, I'm a black belt now, so I won't fight someone else, So that's kind of how it happens, When I was younger, I used to think that, when you become a black belt, that you'd that you still could fight everybody, but you'd be doing the right thing by not starting street fights. And eventually, as you get older and as you do it longer, you realize you just don't want to deal with it because it's a waste of your time. So basically, we want to promote the students to defend themselves in a real situation and feel confident and feel good about themselves.
Okay, first, it's not new at all. It's been around since the first Olympics had fights that lasted to the death. These fights have been around for a long time. They're new in this country as far as people seeing them. They've been in this country before, but people just haven't seen them. People get the wrong idea of them because they just see, they think of it as a street fight. These are guys who are smart, guys who, they trained for this. It's not something that they have, six-pack and go in the ring and try to kill each other. They save that for professional wrestling. This is all, a farce. People don't want to learn about, professional wrestling. They'd say you're going to tear the guy's arms off and drink his blood and all this. And that's just like, nowadays people don't want to watch Hill Street Blues. They want to watch cops. They want to watch something real. They don't want an untouchable hero out there. They want something that they can be. With seeing these things, they can train and attain the things that they're looking for, not real life superhero status, not something that's out there that's unattainable. Well, one thing about jiu-jitsu is, like I was explaining to someone here before, if we practice, the death touch, the so-called death touch, or I'll just kick you in the knee, or I'll just pull your eye out and it's over. But we never can do that. I can't pull your eye out every day. You don't have enough eyes. I can't break your knee every day. It's impossible, And then when it comes to time for extreme, there's never been one leg broken. Nobody's lost an eye. Nobody's had the death touch performed on them. So where are these things? We don't have the best fighters? They do. These things don't exist. In jiu-jitsu, everything that you see us do, we can do in the ring, the same. We can do on the street, the same. It's all the same. So if we practice these things all the time, when it comes time to fight, I can do them because I do them all the time. I do them in the morning class. I do them in the night class. I do them in the ring. You know, I'll do them to defend myself. So it happens all the time like that.
Will your ego take control? Now that things are going cool. And will you say what you've become is all because of you? Will you push your friends away? And will you treat your little girl